If you are to go for any kind of survey, preparation is the key for any successful project. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about what kind of preparation that you can do in the office before you go for a survey, and what kind of actions you can take while in the field while carrying out the survey to make sure that your project is successful. So let's start today's session, shall we? So the very first thing you need to know about is the scope of work. What you need to do. What is the requirement of the client? What is the perception of the client? Why client wants to carry out the job? What kind of job the client is expecting you to do, so that at the end of the day you can deliver something that the client requires. So the deliverables is very important and it depends on the scope of work. And you must know what the client actually wants to achieve by the scope of work by doing that job. Secondly, you must know what kind of commercial impact it has on the job. Whether the job is a day rate job, whether it's a lump sum job, and how much you can spend on a daily basis on that particular job. So this commercial knowledge is very important for any surveyors and engineers or anybody in the team that is going for the project. Next, you want to know what is the area of the survey, where you are going to carry out the survey. The area may have been surveyed before or maybe a completely virgin area. So what you need to know, first of all, you need to see if there is any facility for you to mobilize your vessel, whether you can get a vessel to do your job or not, whether you have a jetty to set up your tide gauge, whether you have a benchmark to level your tide gauge. So these are the very important factors that you must consider. You also must consider if you are doing a near-shore survey, if it is a only daytime survey, then you must have the accommodation nearby. And you must have the conveyance to go from the survey area from the jetty and to the hotel and back. Next is the jetty or the landing area for the survey. If you are doing a near-shore survey, then you must know where is the jetty, how far away from the accommodation it is. And you must also know whether it has any previous control stations, benchmarks, etc. on the jetty or not, because that will be very helpful into calibrating your equipment, which is very necessary before you start any job. Now the next important thing is your survey equipment. So if it is just a simple bathymetry job where you need to measure the simple depth, all you need to take is a positioning equipment and a depth measuring equipment. But that's not all. There are many ancillary equipments that you need to carry with yourself to have a successful project. Most of the time you don't need to carry a gyro compass. If it is a single beam bathymetry survey, you can simply put up your antenna on top of the echo sounder so that you do not need a gyro compass. But if you are doing a multi-beam bathymetry survey, then a gyro compass is must. Next is the sound velocity profiler. Most of the time we do not think about sound velocity profiler. If it is a very shallow water, then if you know the sound velocity of the region, but at some point you need to measure the sound velocity. See, in a very shallow water, it may not actually matter. But if it is a deeper water than 15 meter, 20 meter, 25 meter, then it might make a difference. So do not forget to carry a sound velocity profiler with you. Now, if you are doing a bathymetry survey, you need to measure the tide because you have to reduce the tide from your soundings, right? So how do you measure your tide? With a tide gauge, of course. So you need to carry a tide gauge with you, or if client is providing you the tide and you believe that the client provided tide is good, or if you are using a predicted tide, if client is saying predicted tide can be used, then of course you don't need to carry a tide gauge. So you need to carry a tide gauge if client is not providing you or accepting that you can use predicted tide. Now if you have to install a tide gauge, you need to know what is your sounding datum. It may be mean sea level, it may be chart datum, it may be lowest astronomical tide. But to know where your datum is, you need to have a benchmark and you need to do a level from the benchmark to the tide gauge. So you need to carry out a level machine with you. Now, most of the times, if you are in a virgin place where there has been no benchmark, no ATG ever installed, so you need to transfer the benchmark from one place to another place. Now, there are many processes and procedures. I have some videos where I discussed about them, and you can go and check out there. I'll have them linked in the description below. One more important thing, if you are doing a multi-beam bathymetry survey, then you need to do a gyro compass calibration. Okay, the gyro compass can be calibrated with a sunshot. So we need to carry some angle measurement device, whether it is a total station or a sextant. And if you are doing a multi-beam bathymetry survey, you also need to carry a motion sensor. If you are doing a single beam survey, then a simple heave sensor can be enough. But for a multi-beam survey, you need to carry out a motion sensor. Now, to do a simple calibration of single beam or multi-beam, you can also carry a bar check. Understanding what we are calibrating in a single beam echo sounder with a bar check is very important. Most of the time, people adjust the bars, to get the desired depth, but that's not the point of doing a bar check. Bar check is not about adjusting the bars to get the depth. It's about finding out the true draft of the vessel, or the true draft of the single beam echo sounder, and the sound velocity, the proper sound velocity. If your sound velocity is wrong, then your bar check depth will be wrong. If your draft setting is wrong, then your depth will be wrong. Okay, now that you have mobilized your equipment in the boat, you measure the offsets of each and every sensor properly. Not only X and Y offsets, but also the Z offset. So in the calibration of the equipment, what are the equipment you have to calibrate? You have to calibrate DGPS, you have to calibrate your echo sounder, you have to calibrate your gyro compass, you have to calibrate your motion sensor, your multi-beam equipment. So these are the things you have to remember that you have to calibrate before you even start your survey. Next is your planning of your survey line. Carrying out a survey with a planned line will always reduce your time in the field. If you are doing a haphazard survey, then it's not going to be very helpful into achieving your objective. So you need to carry out a survey planning well before you come to the field. Yes, of course, you can adjust your planning as per the field requirement, but have the planning ready. There are a few things that we don't normally take care of about understanding the speed of the vessel while carrying out the survey. The recommended survey speed of the vessel is about 4 nautical mile per hour. So at that 4 knot speed, we can achieve a very good result. If you are too slow, then you may not be able to maintain the vessel's heading. If you are too fast, you may be skipping a lot of data. So speed of the vessel is very important. In our survey, we said that the garbage in and garbage out. So you have to make sure while you are doing the survey that your data is clean and good and viable. So when you plan a long line, please make sure that you plan tie lines also. Now the tie lines are also known as the cross lines. So why to carry out a cross line? You are actually doing a QC of your own survey. Now there are longitudinal lines and there are tie lines every 300, 400, 500 meter apart. It actually confirms your longitudinal survey data, and that's very good for QC of your own survey. Now data processing is an integral part of any bathymetry survey. If you are doing day-to-day data processing, then you know if you have any gap in your survey area, or if you have any QC problem, you have any quality problem in your data. So carrying out a data processing every day after the completion of the survey is very, very important. So as you are surveying, you have to make a progress report. Whether it is a daily progress report or a field report that you make every day or after every section of the survey, you have to send a progress report to the project manager and make sure that your project manager knows what you are surveying, what is your progress. Keep a tab on your expenditure. you must have some idea about the commercial of the project. So you must know how much you can spend when you are doing a nearshore survey, how much fuel you are spending, how much money you are spending on your conveyance, how much money you are spending on your hotel and everyday food. So keep a tab on that. Make sure that you are within the budget. Now, this is not the only process that you can follow to have a successful bathymetry survey. I can tell you 100 different processes to follow in a model world, but you must know what to do when you are in the field. And as per the condition of the field, your process can change. You can tweak some of your processes and follow what is best at that time in that situation. Remember, no matter how much you plan, there is always something which always goes wrong. So you must have a contingency plan for that. If something goes wrong in the field, you must know how to mitigate them and how to start planning differently, how to get your survey done properly in the time. It's your planning, your preparation, and your own experience can mitigate all these problems if you face in the field. So always be prepared to get some surprises. And I'll see you around.